Welcome to the Oxen Group Nightly. My name is David Ristow. I'm the CEO, President, and Founder of the Oxen Group. Please check us out at www.theoxengroup.com for all your financial analysis and investment ideas needs. Well, on tonight's Oxen Group Nightly, we'll be wrapping up Tuesday's market. We'll be looking at our position in Pier 1 imports as well as Ruby Tuesday. Also, we'll be looking at some of our other current positions and exits. I'll be talking a little bit about a new feature that we're going to have, or a new group of stories that we're going to have out very soon here as a quarter 2 earnings preview. We'll be looking at tomorrow's forecast, and always check out a disclaimer at the end of the video. So let's start with the market wrap-up. The Dow finished down today, while tech and the Nasdaq finished slightly positive, but overall the Dow finished down only 6 points, the Nasdaq finished up only 2 points. Pretty neutral day, not a lot of changes in a lot of positions, although we did actually have a pretty nice day at the Oxen Group. But volume was very light. There wasn't a lot of market moving news. There was some ISM index in the morning, some news that Apple was going to be dropped down on the NASDAQ 100 from 20% weight to 12% weight. Tech was strong pretty much on the news that Texas Instruments was agreeing to buy National Semiconductor for $6.5 billion. That sort of gave a callus and kept the tech companies up all day. And when the market did rally, early on in the day, it was on a tech rally. But we did have the ISM Services Index actually drop in March from February. And while it was still positive, anything on the index over 50 is positive. It was unfortunate to see it drop below expectations and pull back there in March. And that did weigh on the market early on in the day. As you see, early on in the day, when we happened was we got this drop, and here about the ISM Service Index right around here, and they had a little more drop, and then we just had this great big rally in the morning. Long light volume. I think once we got the services numbers out of the way, some of the bigger stories that came through, like some good retail numbers we had out on the day on a weekly report for 2.8% gain, which was pretty positive compared to some of the expectations that late March was going to be real weak due to gas prices rising, and some expectations that those retail sales might be a little bit weak. But throughout the day, after after lunchtime, this was a pretty typical Fed day. We like to call these Fed days, when basically you get a rally in the morning, and it's really just on expectations of just kind of, I don't really know why, but you get these rallies, it seems like, all the time on these Fed days, and then the Fed comes out with a report, and if nothing really extraordinary has happened, the market usually trails off throughout the rest of the day. Very light volume on the day, not a lot of buying. There wasn't a lot of, there wasn't anything that was like, oh man, I got to really get into that, or I need to get out of that. It was just really pretty much flat. Most of our positions either traded pretty flat or maybe to the upside in some cases. One of the positions that we wanted to get into today was Pier 1 Imports. This company is reporting earnings on Thursday morning, so it's got tomorrow to move. And this company has been on a breakout. It's been on a real tear as of late, and we think it's definitely going to probably move higher moving into tomorrow, the day before earnings. This is a company for the last 3 quarters has done very well with their earnings. And is expected to jump again from 0.33 EPS in their quarter year ago to 0.52, which will drop their price to earnings from about 17 to about 15. And the stock recently broke this downward channel you see, and it's really been rallying ever since breaking that channel. It's above all its moving averages. On a great breakout, the stock has seen you see a lot of good volume come in when it broke this channel, and it's sort of, the volume's a little bit trailed off, and so that's why we are kind of hoping that tomorrow will be a really big day. This stock's moved up on sort of some lighter volume to mid volume, and as we move into earnings tomorrow, I expect some of that volume to increase, people to get in, as this stock's done extremely well post earnings over the last over the last year. You can see in early January, broke out. This is in earnings. It did drop after earnings, but broke out there, and then also we see back in back here in October, broke out after an earnings play here, and also in July back there. So it's a stock that likes to move after earnings, and so we have seen some of that come in, that price action there, but I do think this will continue up tomorrow. Excuse me. We also have Ruby Tuesdays. This is a position that we were able to take away from a 2% gain on the day at 13.57. But we think this is a company that's reporting earnings on Thursday afternoon, and you can see that this stock is ready for breakout. I mean, its stock went to 13.67 and after hours. I think the market waited on a little bit. It's got, as you see, pretty low volume, but had a nice day. It has had pretty strong volume, as you know, consistent volume throughout the last couple months. It's got its spikes here and there, but you can see definitely there was this time kind of a lull here, and it's really picked up. And this is a company that has also done very well over the last year with their earnings. And you can see they broke above that the 50-day moving average today. It's already broken that downward channel. So we go back to this Pier 1 imports. You see this stock broke above that, then broke above its 50-day moving average, and then look what happened. Went from about 975 to about 1040. But in one day went from about 975 to about 1010, which is a nice, pretty solid 4% gain. So if Ruby Tuesdays if that kind of price action is kind of comparable to what we might see in Ruby Tuesdays, I think we could see a nice 2 or 3% gain again tomorrow. With their earnings coming in on Thursday, and they're supposed to be very good as well, I definitely think that we could see a lot more upward gains on this stock as well. We also did very well today on our Changyu position, CYOU. We exited 3 times at 2%, 3%, 4.5% gains. We missed out on after the 4.5% gain. We missed out a little bit more as this stock moved up 7% from our entry yesterday. We're still holding Apple. We did get into it yesterday. Unfortunately, got a little unlucky with that one, as they did have that weak news come out today about the dropping from the Nasdaq 100, which probably means they'll get some selling from some mutual funds, but. I do think this is a strong stock. I think they're going to have very good earnings. I think that moving into earnings, it's very hard for you to say this is just not a buy, considering the sort of success the iPad 2 has had in the MacBook Air, and it has a lot of good analysts behind the stock. Ty Conderoga came out and said this is still a fundamentally strong stock. Any selling in the stock is not on fundamentals. It's simply on readjustment of weight, and if you can get a buy, take it. And then we also have a position in MEMC Electronics. WFR is the ticker there. We have a short on that solar company, as we think that the company has very limited upside in the near term and should be announcing some updates on how their Japanese factory is faring, which is near the Fukushima nuclear reactor, and we do not expect the announcement to be very positive for them, and we continue to see that sort of the Japanese situation to continue to weigh on them until they can get production up fully. There's really no reason to buy this stock in the near term, as the market seems to be very kind of correcting or maybe even moving to the downside significantly, that this would be a good short. Okay, excuse me. A little under the weather tonight, sorry. We have Q2 earnings coming out starting next week with Alcoa leading us off. And we have a new report headed out for you for our basic and premium members and any trial members that sign up in the near term. And this is going to be a pretty nice report that we're going to put out. It's going to be talking about some of the best value investments for Q2 earnings. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some of the companies that are going to be having some of the greatest year-over-year growth prospects. Okay, so what some of the consensus estimates are looking at, some of the sales growth figures for year-over-year, and then we're going to be comparing those growth numbers to some value indicators that we like to look at. And what we're going to be able to do is compare which stocks have the best growth factors and yet the lowest value, or not, and the highest value. So basically, they have the lowest amount of buying. They have low RSI, they have a low PE ratio, they have a lower PE ratio compared to competitors, and then that compares with their growth prospects. So we look at companies with the highest growth prospects with the most value, and that combines together to make for a really good value play. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a number of factors into consideration. We've already started work on this, and we're going to give you the top 5 most undervalued and the top 5 most overvalued, and we're going to break that down by sector for the large cap, mid cap, and small cap. And then we'll also identify what we think is the top industry that might have the best quarter two earnings, and maybe help you decide on some positions that you might want to put yourself into moving into the earnings season on your own. And we will definitely be using this report to our advantage as we try and identify some winning trades to get into moving into earnings. Tomorrow's forecast, we're gonna probably see. I would guess probably a pretty similar day as we had today. Maybe a little bit to the downside. Nothing drastic. Any big dip will probably be bought back up, but I would venture to say we'll finish pretty much flat. We really there's no news planned for tomorrow. We do have Monsanto's earnings tomorrow morning, a couple of consumer-related stocks, and tomorrow evening and tomorrow morning with like Ruby Tuesdays, Pier 1 imports, Bed Bath and Beyond, and we do have crude inventories tomorrow, so that could help. I mean, if those come in higher than expected, we could see oil continue to downside, which would be good for equities as oil, its price continues to probably weigh on any upside in equities. As always, there's the chance we could get some mergers or acquisitions tomorrow. There have been a lot of those lately. Cisco announced today that they're looking to buy. Berkshire Hathaway has continued to kind of hint at that they're still looking to buy more. So there is the possibility for more mergers and acquisitions, and those are always very good for the market, but you can't predict those. So right now, with what we have and what we know is going to be out there, I do think we'll probably be looking at a pretty flat day on the market. That's all for today's Oxen Group Nightly. Please visit us at www.theoxengroup.com. Check us out there. There's all kinds of fun things to do on the website. Make sure you sign up for a trial membership so you can take advantage of that quarter two earnings preview. Email us at contact@theoxengroup.com. Call us anytime at 1-800-709-1160. Please be a part of our 70% plus accuracy.